It represents refinement, luxury, and perfection. Famous designers have worked with me, and one of our most expensive cars was valued at a staggering $4.5 million. But it was a challenge from Enzo Ferrari that spurred the iconic Lamborghini brand. From tractor to now renowned luxury sports car, this is my story. I was born in the Emilia-Romagna region in the beautiful northern Italy. My mom and dad were both viticulturists or gardeners. My childhood was spent in the countryside, admiring and astonishing about the beauty and the wonders of nature. Naturally, I was attracted to farming and viticulture, but in some time as I grew up, something more interesting took my attention: machinery. As a growing child, I was so curious about the big metal chunks in our farm that could do the work of 10 men all by itself. My fascination led me to learn about them. My parents saw how their little boy was fascinated by these farm machineries and tried to play with them. Once I told them about my interest to learn more about machines and mechanics, they supported me and helped me to study at the Fratelli Taddia Technical Institute in Bologna. After a few years, I was already an expert at what I do. The time at the Technical Institute served me well, and as a young man, I had many dreams about what to do next. I always knew I could do great things, and I knew that things would not come easy. But Italy at the time was everything but a good place to dream about the future. The uncertainty and clouds of future war were already looming. Benito Mussolini and the Fascist Party had taken over the control of the country, and every day the country was sinking deeper into chaos and insecurity. Most of us were worried, my parents and me, especially me. My fears became a reality, and in 1939, Italy joined the Second World War. My misfortune didn't end there. I was drafted into the Italian Air Force, and I was deployed as a field mechanic in the Rhodes Island base. I never really wanted to serve in the military and fight a war I never wanted my country to get involved in the first place. But during those days, you couldn't say no if you got drafted into the military. So reluctantly, I departed my home and went where my fate took me. I was dead wrong to think that was the worst that could happen to me. Italy was losing the war, and at the end of 1945, the British troops occupied our base, and we were all taken as prisoners of war. I had to spend time in captivity for almost a year, and couldn't return home until the next year. But after all that happened, I was grateful. Unlike millions of people who lost their lives during the war, I was alive and well. The time at the army and the war was a revealing experience for me. It showed me how valuable life is and how important it is to use the opportunities and the chances life has given us. To be alive is a privilege. To understand that early in life was a blessing, and I was glad I was blessed. Never did I imagine I'd create something so iconic, especially since I was just a war veteran. Just like many young men who returned from the war, I too fell in love. My beautiful Clelia, the most beautiful woman I ever met and the loveliest. I loved and was loved. Everything seemed to be in the exact place as I always wanted. We were soon to be parents. But my streak of misfortunes hit me again, and my darling wife passed away while giving birth to our son, Tonino. My whole world fell before me, and for some time I was devastated. But I knew I couldn't stay this way for long. I had a dream, and now I had to go for it, for me and our son. I've been through a lot, and at the time I had to stand up again. Bringing back my childhood fascinations, I opened up a garage in Pieve di Cento. There I began to modify old vehicles I acquired. I even raced in some of them. But once my car crashed, and my life was saved purely by chance, I gave up racing. And something new came to my mind, something that would change my life and the world forever. I saw the potential of Italy's post-war economic boom and the role that agriculture was going to play in it. And with that, the role machines will play in this revolution. In 1947, I developed a fuel-efficient engine using parts of old military vehicles and developed an affordable tractor for agricultural use. Fuel prices were sky high back then, and my invention was helping many farmers to save money. I went on to find my own tractor company. Just as I hoped, the business got better, and soon I found myself as a wealthy young man. But it was never about the money for me. I knew I wanted to do more with my life. My son was having a wonderful life. Everything I never had when I was a child. My only heartache was that my wife wasn't there to see him grow. An endless streak of misfortunes eventually led me to much success in life, and I was driving a new car every day. It was during this time I fell in love with Ferraris. A fellow Italian product, I had a deep respect for its founder, Enzo Ferrari, as well. However, since I was a jack of my own mechanic's trade, I saw that there were some faults with the clutches and didn't like the way after services were handled. I brought this to the attention of Mr. Ferrari, and all he and his pride-filled big head did was scoff me off and said, "Lamborghini, you may be able to drive a tractor, but you will never be able to handle a Ferrari." I asked myself that if I could build the best tractors that let our economy prosper, why can't I build the perfect car? In fact, I'm gonna make it better than Ferrari, much better. The next year, I had my chief engineers and mechanics together. I was never putting off things for the later. And the next thing I knew was we were already making wonderful sports cars. Automobile Lamborghini was born. A car is nothing without its brand. I knew this as a businessman, so I looked for inspiration in another interest of mine that always impressed me: bullfighting. A raging bull exactly symbolizes what I had in mind: raw energy, sheer strength, speed, and of course, competitiveness. Besides, my zodiac sign too was Taurus, the bull. It was a fighting symbol to take on the horses of Ferrari, Porsche, and the American Mustangs. Better looking, better performing, and soon we were head to head with the Ferraris and the rest of Europe. But then again, the economy got worse during the 1970s, and my automobile business came under heavy financial troubles. But I didn't let that worry me. I had everything a man can ask for: a wonderful child, money, success, and influence. More than anything, I was happy. So I sold my car company to a friend and retired to my 740-acre estate, La Fiorita at Lake Trasimeno. Although I was quite old at the time, after a long time, I found love again, Maria. She blessed me with a beautiful daughter, Patricia. Afterwards, with my children and family, I spent my time doing what I loved since my childhood. I went back to my roots, producing my own wines and gardening. Your family and happiness are all that matters in the end, and the rest is just a means to get there. Don't overcomplicate life and live every day as if it's your last. Remember that. Mechanics was in my blood, and I always stuck with it because it's what I love to do. You too can find your passion. If you are young, try many things. If you're older, do the things that truly interest you. Life is short. I urge you to spend each moment wisely. When you stop working, you start to die. In this case, work should be anything that you love. Never stop living life to the fullest. I am Ferruccio Lamborghini, business magnate, philanthropist, and the founder of Automobile Lamborghini.